Good afternoon, everyone. This is China Black Tea from Truly Tea in Shrewsbury. And you'll have to forgive me, I have a cat on my lap. She might put her head up in a minute. Say hello. Say hello. No, not really. She's black anyway. She blends into my t-shirt. Yeah, so you probably noticed from my thumbnail, things are going off because a 96-year-old woman died in Scotland. I'm not talking about Morag in nursing home in Inverness, or Ethel in a hospital in Fort William, or any of the old dear who died in Scotland quite recently. Of course, not those deaths, just go largely unreported, except in the local media. Yeah, old lady dies, and here we are. But this response has been tickling me, really. I remember 25 years ago when Diana pegged it, and the private eye, they were pretty good. How they took the extracted the urine, I should say, out of the emotional incontinence, as did Theodore Dalrymple in print. Or was it 10 years ago? Dianification, emotional incontinence, and that's what we're seeing, aren't we? 14-hour queues of people standing in from Southwark to walk past the coffin. Somebody they never met, somebody they only seen on the TV. They're only doing it, essentially because the TV is telling them, manipulated them to emotes, I guess. If people feel they want to, that's their matter entirely, but really, it's the forelock tugging has already started for the new king as well. That's the it's quite funny, really. I can't say as I'm a Republican either, not a monarchist, but I come down to the side of having a constitutional monarchy with no power. I think it's better than the alternative of something like Blair getting elected as president. But the amount of genuflecting we are doing is just hilarious. In a nearby village, there's an illustration of corgis weeping, and by photograph of the Queen. Really, has it come to that? And we see photographs of here in the town. Councillors have been lining up to sign fucking condolences, which they can do, of course. Anyone in town can go along, and they'll be photographing themselves doing it because it's just not enough to do it. I mean, it will be on public record. They have to be seen to be. Again, it's this whole thing of seen to emote, seen to um, support the current thing. Regardless of whatever the current thing is, you must support it. It's just moving in lockstep, and it is communal narcissism, really, just to photograph yourself doing that. I mean, where's the dignity? But yeah, it's. But in the thumbnail, you'll see that's the Telegraph report that NHS doctors and nurses are going to walk ahead of the coffin out of Westminster Hall around the corner to Westminster Abbey for the service on Monday. Oh dear, dear, dear. We can look at this different ways, can't we? That's up the tea. Isn't that right, Cat? We can look at it different ways, can't we? Is it that we're finally seeing burial of the NHS, or is the NHS now the monarch ahead of the former Queen? So therefore we bow down to it ahead of the Queen. I mean, after all, the NHS is the state religion now. I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's not treating anyone. Of course, the irony is on the Monday of the funeral, hospitals will be shut, except for emergencies, all routine operations cancelled, all consultations cancelled, surgeries closed, everything. So basically, the NHS is closing down again to virtue signal for the Queen. So basically, don't have a heart attack on Monday because chances are you don't have a motorbike accident. Don't do any DIY because it's shut down. Do your best to not have an accident. Do your best not to die or have a stroke or anything, because basically you're stuffed, aren't you? Because the NHS decided to just put his feet up and watch the funeral. And yes, walking ahead. The other way of looking at it is that, oh, who's in charge, really? I mean, who's in charge here of the country? I mean, what's the highest priority? I mean, is it that we're now virtue signalling over the NHS as well? I mean, she gave them the what was it, George Cross for the services into C19. By that I mean shutting itself off to everything else other than treating C19. Basically, just get stuffed. If you haven't got that, you don't exist. Oh, never mind the rating list of 6 million or so. No, that doesn't matter. They did their bit in panicking and absolutely wetting the bed. So it is it is another exercise in just virtue signalling and be seen to care. That's what we've come down to, and again, it's just this arch emotionality. If you look at the queues, it has mostly been women who are queuing up to pay tribute, and also that's on the streets as well, on roadways. People running across the A90 dual carriageway, people parking on the horse shoulders, people stopped in the overtaking lane of the dual carriageway, gawp at the coffin going past. But it is an overwhelmingly female response. We used to be British stoicism, of course that went out the window. And now we're replaced with basically warbling and just tears for for. Again, look for Theodore Dalrymple, see what he has to say on this quite soon, I imagine.